Hello widget watchers, welcome back to another video. In this video we are going to see how we can create this smart home application, in which whenever you tap onto these button, then small blink animation happen, and whenever you are enabling and disabling any device, then their active color is getting changed, okay, and these buttons are scrollable, and we will also see how we can create this beautiful search button. Okay, so now let's start the video. So here I just have an empty project in which I have an empty center widget. Okay, now in this application, we are going to use these icons. You can find them on Flat Icons website. Now let's copy these icon and come here at your project's root directory, and here create a assets folder, then inside it an icon folder. Okay, now paste those icon inside this icons folder. Okay, so you can see we have our icon. Now come to the pubspec.yaml file and here, add the path of your assets. So here I have added asset/icons then a slash, and don't forget to correct the indentation. Now tap onto the pub get option. Now close this and come to the main.dart file. And from here first create a directory named screens inside this lib directory, then inside this directory create a home screen, then come inside this home screen, and minimize this project overview, then here create a stateful widget as home screen. Then import the material. Now come here and from here remove this placeholder and then add a scaffold. So in the starting of the video we have seen that our app is having a beautiful radial gradient, so for doing that first add the container inside the scaffold's body. Then give it the all available height and width of the screen by using double.infinity. Now add the decoration parameter and here add the gradient property, then we want to have the radial gradient, so here use radial gradient. And then inside it first let's add our colors, so here I am adding my 3 color inside this colors list. A bit greenish, a bit yellowish and a bit reddish. So I have added these colors. Now if you come to the main file and from here, remove the center widget and call your home screen. Now just save the code and you can see, we have the reading gradient effect, but it is not looking cool, so let's modify it. So for that first we need to add the center of our gradient. So here add center property, then add the alignment, then add the x as 0.0 and y as 1.0. So you may ask what it does mean. So it's mean that it will be bottom center of the screen, because x represent the horizontal and y represent the vertical, so that is the reason of using alignment. Now save the code and you can see our gradient thing is shifted to the bottom center. Now let's add the stops for that. We have 3 colors, so I'm adding 0.0 then 0.5 and the 1.0 for these color. Then we need to add the radius, so add the radius as 2.0. Now when you save the code, then you can see now we are having the same effect as we have seen in the intro video. So now come out of this box decoration, and here inside this container add some padding, so that our element have some spacing from the sides of device. So I have added the padding as 10. Then come here and add the child element, so for child add the safe area widget, because we don't want that our element should come at the toolbar or behind this notch, so use the safe area. Then add the column widget, then inside it add the children and cross-axis alignment at start. Now all the element will start from the left side of the screen. Now come inside the children and here add the row widget, and then children. Now come inside this children part, and here add the rich text. Okay, now for the text add the text span, then for its children again add the text span, but now use the text property and here add welcome with a /n, because we want that welcome should be come in one line and other thing should be below this line. So now add the style for it, so here I am adding text style for it, and I'm giving it a white color and font size as 45 and font weight as normal. Now, if you save the code, then you can see our welcome text has been appeared. Now just copy this text span widget and add below here, and now here change this welcome string to back to your home. Now text style is going to remain same, but change the font weight to 700. Then if you save the code, then you can see our text has been appeared, but now we have an overflow exception, because our font size is too large and it is getting out of the screen. So for fixing this issue, wrap your rich text inside an expanded widget. Then save the code. Then you can see text is moved to second line, and it is looking perfect as we wanted. Now let's move to the second part of this design where we will create the search button. So for creating the search button, first come out of this expanded widget, then here add the container. Now give this container a height and width as per your requirements, then give it the decoration, so here add the box decoration, then give this a white color with capacity of 0.4, now give it the border radius, and here I have added the border radius as 50. Then save the code and you can see, we have this container with rounded corners. Okay, now add the child to this container and inside it, create one more container widget, then add the margin of 10. So that it will have some spacing from its parent widget. Then give the padding so that its child element will have some spacing. Then copy the decoration from the above container, and add the same decoration inside this container, just remove the opacity. Now when you save the code, then you can see all these two containers are appeared on the screen, and they are looking beautiful. Now let's add the search image, so for that add the child widget, then here use image.asset and then add the path of your asset, so in my case, it is asset/icons/search.png. So I have added that. Now save the code, then you can see search icon has been appeared on the screen, and it is looking quite beautiful. So now let's create that scrollable buttons list, so for that first here add a sized box, which will have some height, let's say 35. Then here create a new directory as widget, and inside the widget directory create location menu.dart, so we are creating this widget separately because it's a good idea. Now come inside this file, and here create a stateful widget as location menu, then import the material package. Okay, now let's define the parameters which will help into creating the location menu button. So first thing is the list of strings which will contains the menu item. Okay, then here we need selected index, so this selected index will help to highlight the selected button. Then we need a function so that we can have a callback, that item selection has been changed, so add that. Now add all these property inside this constructor, then go to the home screen and from here call your location menu, and this needs 3 parameter which we have created a minute ago. So let's create these parameter first. So first create the list of string, for menu item, so this will contain areas of our home, so I have created that list. Now create integer variable which going to store the current index or select index. Now come here, and for on item tap, it will give index which is going to be type of int. So now we will make use of set state and assign the index into the selected index. So now whenever user tap onto any other button, then that index will change and we will assign that index into the selected index. Then the selected index will pass to this location menu, where we can change the color. Okay, now if you save the code, then the UI is breaking, because in the location menu we don't have anything. So first remove this placeholder from here and here add single child scroll view. Okay, then add the scroll direction because by default, single child scroll view have the vertical scrolling, but in this case we want a horizontal scrolling, so we need to define it. Now here add the child and give the row widget, then add the children for it, and here make use of for loop, because the buttons count depend on the length of the list. So I've added the for loop. Now from this for loop we will call another method, so let's name this method as build menu item, and in this method we're going to pass my menu items, so this is going to be the area name, then we will pass true false for checking whether the button is selected or not, and now you may ask that how we will check that thing. So for checking that thing we will put a condition here that, if selected index is equal to I, if this is true, then the button is selected, otherwise it is not selected. So I have added that, then also pass the index. Okay, now create this method, and from here return a container widget, and then inside this container widget, first create the padding, so I have added the padding. Now add the margin for it, so I'm adding the margin only for right side because each button needs to separate it from each other, and don't worry, it will make a sense in a minute. Then come here and here add decoration parameter, and inside it add the box decoration and then define the white color to it, and then give the border radius for this container. Okay, now add the child widget, so for that add the text widget and pass the menu item here. Okay, then add the text style for it, and for text style, I'm adding font color as black, and font size as 20. Now if you save the code, then our button is appeared on the screen, but they are breaking. So let's check what's the issue. So go to the home screen and from here okay, we need to add this widget outside of the row widget, so just copy them and paste it outside of this row widget. Now save the code. And yeah, it is looking pretty much fine. Now, here add the condition that, and this bool name is not making sense, let's change it to selection state. Then add the same thing here, that if selection state is true, then color is going to be white, else color is going to be white, but with some capacity. Now if you save the code, then by default living room is selected, and it is in proper white color and other buttons are not in the white color. Okay, now wrap this container inside a gesture detector, okay, so that whenever user will tap on any of these buttons, then we can update our selected index. So I have added that, and now add the onTap method, and then just add that widget.onItemTap and pass the index here, which is the current index of the button. Okay, now save the code, and whenever you are tapping onto the new button, then you can see we have this color changing thing right there. Now this was it for these menu. Now copy this sized box and add the same box below this, and then here add text widget and add anything like for active devices, and then add the style for this. So I have added text style, in which the color is going to be white and font size is going to be 30, and font weight is going to be 700. Now save the code and you can see our UI has started making sense. Okay, now add the same sized box here again. And now we will build the complex part of this UI, so let's start building that. Now for building the cards for the home screen, first let's create a new file inside widgets directory, as home cards, then come into this home cards, and here create a stateful widget as home card, then import the material package. Then come inside this card class, and here let's first create the variables which we are going to use while building the card. So let's first add the title of the card, which is going to tell that what is the gadget name. Okay, then here add the image path, which going to help in identifying the path of the image. Then here add the color for switch, because I want that every switch should have different color. So we have added the switch color property. Then here add the location, so that whenever user changes the location, then the location text should be updated. Then add all these properties inside the card constructor, then come to the home screen, and from here and first add the wrap widget, because there is the several reasons for using the wrap widget. If you want to use the single child scroll view, or let's say a row widget, then it will going to in a single row, and in that case UI will break. But if we use wrap widget, then it is going to give the available width of the screen to some of these widget, and then if the width is not available to other widgets, then it will automatically go in the second row. So this was the main reason of using wrap widget. So I have added the wrap widget here, then add the children. Now here call your home cards, and these card first need title, so add the title as smart lamp. Then give it the image path, then add the switch color for it, then add the location, and we get our location using our menu items list and then giving the selected index. Now just copy and paste these items for your all the gadgets, and make the changes accordingly. So here I have added all the changes which are required. Now save the code, and we have error because in the card we don't have anything to show. We just have an empty placeholder, so let's just remove this placeholder, and here add the container widget, then here above, create a width variable which is going to calculate the current width of screen. Okay, now here add the height of this container as the 46% of the current width, and the same goes with the width. Then here add the child for the container, and here add the card widget. Okay, now give this card a white color and add the shape as rounded rectangle border, and inside it, give it the border radius of 45. Now save the code, and you can see now we have card appeared on the screen. Okay, now give this card a child widget as column, then here add the cross-axis alignment at start, and add the main axis size to the minimum, then add the children property, then give it the padding widget, and here add the padding as symmetric, then for the horizontal give it 20, and for the vertical give it 10. Now add the child widget, and for child first add the rich text widget, then add the text, then for text add the text span, then add the children, then for the children again add the text span, then add the text, and for text add the widget.title, which is going to tell the gadget name, then add the text style for it. So for the text style here I'm using color as black, then font size as 20, and font weight as 700. Then save the code, and you can see now we have our gadget name has appeared on the card. Now just copy this text and add one more time. Then from here remove this title, and add the location which going to tell the what's the location of the current gadget, then here decrease the font size to 15 and change the color, but don't change the color, just add the opacity of 0.5 then save the code and location is appeared, but it has some issue. So let's fix this. So for fixing this just go to the above text, and here at slash after the title, so the title is going in one line and the location is going to come in the another line. Now save the code and now this card looking perfect. Okay, now, come outside of this padding widget. And here add a row widget. Okay, then add the main axis alignment to space between, then add the cross-axis alignment to the start. Now come inside this children and here add switch widget, then this switch widget has two required parameter, one is the value and the second one is the on-changed, so for that come above here and here create a boolean variable as switch value and assign the default value to false. Okay, then come inside the switch widget, and here add the switch value variable, then come into the on-changed method and this on-changed method, give us a boolean value. Okay, then add the curly braces and make use of set state and assign this value to switch value. Now save the code and the switch button is visible. Okay, so as of now, this switch is horizontally placed, but we wanted it to be vertically placed, so for that wrap here this switch widget inside the rotated box. And here add the quarter turns to 1, then if you save the code, then the switch button is rotated, but it is in opposite direction. So change the quarters turns to 3, and then save the code and yeah, it is now perfectly aligned and looking beautiful. Now let's check that switch button is working or not, so tap on any of these button and yeah, they are working fine. Now add the active color to these switch button, and here add widget.switch color. Now save the code and you can see, the color of the switch button has been changed. Now come out of this rotated box and here add your image.asset, and add the widget.image path, then add the height and width for this image, so I have added that. Now save the code and image appearing perfectly on the screen, but they are to right aligned. So for fixing this, wrap this widget inside the padding widget and here add the padding for the right side, and then save the code, and yeah, it is looking perfect. Now, whenever you will tap onto these location button, then you can see our location is updating as perfect as we wanted. Now let's do one thing, go inside this card widget and here add the condition that if switch value is true, then we will show white color, otherwise we will show white color but with some opacity. Then save the code and now you can see if the switch value is active, then the card color is white, otherwise it is in a transparent white color. Okay, now these thing is working exactly as we wanted. Now let's add the animation. So for adding the animation, first we want that when to trigger our animation, so we are going to trigger our animation whenever the location value is going to change. Okay, so for identifying that when the location value is get changed here, override did_update widget method, then come inside this method and here first add the super.did_update widget and pass the old widget to that. And now here remove this t and add the covariant, then here add a check that if old widget's location is not equal to current widget's location, then we are going to trigger our animation. So for that, come here above and here create a new variable of boolean type as animate cards and by default make its value to false, then here make use of set state. Then assign the true to these animate cards. Okay, now come into the container and remove this container, and here add the animated container and it needs a duration, so add the duration and inside it add the duration as 100 millisecond. Then now for our animation, we want that whenever the location is changed, the height and width should be reduced, then it should come into its normal shape. Okay, so for that here, add a condition that if animate cards is true, then we are going to reduce its height and width, and if animate cards is false, then we are going to make its size to default. Now if you save the code and if you tap onto the any button, then you can see our card size has been changed. Their size are reduced, but they never goes to their original shape. So for fixing this issue, come inside this did_update widget method, and here add a future, and inside it add the delayed, then here add the duration, and then here add the set state and here make animate cards to false. So you may ask why we have used this future delayed. So by using this, there is the several scenarios like when user tapped on any location, then this animate cards property became true. Then our height and width for our card has been reduced by some extent, and after 200 milliseconds we are making this animate cards to false, so now the card size will go to its normal size again. So this was the main reason of doing these much of things. Now if you save the code, then you can see whenever we tapping onto any of the button. Then this card animation is appearing and it is looking beautiful. Now there is one more thing, that our card has not perfectly aligned, like they are left aligned and right side have more space than the left side. So fixing this, come into the home screen widget, and here add the run spacing as 10, which means that the space for vertical cards is going to be there, then add the spacing that some horizontal spacing is going to be there. Now if you save the code, and now you can see all these things are working perfectly. So yeah, this was it for the smart home app, and if you like the video, then please give us a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to Widget Wisdom, then please do subscribe to us.